Welcome to Zero Tackle Hard Knocks, where each week, each team cops a hard knock or a burning question. We are fresh off round 14, so let's kick it off. Is Kotoni Staggs in the running to replace Joseph Suaalii? One of the big calls the Blues will have to make for Game 2 of the Origin Series is replacing the suspended Joseph Suaalii in the centres. With plenty of injury headaches, the race looks fairly wide open. Kotoni Staggs returned from his own injury on Saturday though, and having been in good form prior to that, the Bronco must be in the mix for higher honours. How do the Bulldogs replace Jacob Preston? It's fair to say the Bulldogs haven't exactly been blessed on the injury front this season. You could argue that just about the opposite has happened actually, and there are more issues after their gutsy win on Monday over Parramatta. Jacob Preston will likely be sidelined with a suspected broken foot, and the club will likely need to look to the New South Wales Cup for his replacement. Maybe Kitione Kautoga. Either way, a big blow for the blue and white. Will Daniel Atkinson keep Braden Trindle out? The Sharks arrested any chance of a proper form slide on Saturday evening with a strong win over an undermanned Brisbane Broncos outfit. One of the constants of their form in recent weeks has been Daniel Atkinson doing the job in the halves. He of course came into the side ahead of Cade Dykes following the stand down of Braden Trindle, but with the duo both playing well on Saturday, Atkinson may well now be ahead of Trindle. The Titans must sign an experienced halfback. I'm not sure this is breaking any news, but it's become bleedingly obvious the Titans need to sign somebody to play at halfback. They've had one of the competition's biggest injury tolls in recent weeks, so it's difficult to judge them too harshly. But with a stack of young talent, some of the competition's best forwards, and an experienced coach, all they are missing is an on-field general. There is no one left on the market for 2025, but it must be priority for 2026. Manly must move Jake Trbojevic to prop. Jake Trbojevic backed up his 30-minute Origin performance with an 80-minute one for the Sea Eagles on Sunday against Penrith. That may not have been much of a surprise, but neither was his output. He runs the ball hard and has one of the best tackling techniques in the game, but that doesn't mean he is up to the standards of a modern-day lock. He's proven it at Origin level previously. His best position is prop, and it's something Manly need to make happen. Nelson Asofa-Solomona needs more game time. It's clear Nelson Asofa-Solomona is not viewed the same way he was at the Storm last season. He has gone from being the club's forward pack leader to something of an afterthought despite his enormous impact. Only 4 times this season has he played more than 30 minutes. That, for a forward of his standing, is an insanely small amount of time on the park. To compete with the big guns, the Storm need Asofa-Solomona fit and firing. Young guns make the case for Ponga switch again. Kalen Ponga's most recent injury has allowed first David Armstrong and then on the weekend Fletcher Sharp to make the case that the Origin caliber talent shouldn't be playing fullback. Ponga has been trialled in the halves previously without much success, but given Newcastle's form and revolving door of options there this year, they could do worse than shifting Ponga and leaving either Armstrong or Sharp at the back. I'd call it a good headache, but Adam O'Brien might be losing sleep over this. Have the Warriors started their run to the finals? The New Zealand Warriors have had an inconsistent start to the 2024 season. After last year's success, there is simply no denying that Andrew Webster's side have been well below the level they were able to dish out on their run to the last year's preliminary final. Despite that, they have won their last 3 games on the hop and demolished the Cowboys in Townsville during round 14. Could it just be that the Warriors have just begun their run? The Cowboys' attacking structure is all wrong. The Cowboys have had some of the most talented attacking players in the competition at second row. Helam Luki, the Dolphins-bound Kulakef Finafuiaku, and of course Origin star Jeremiah Nanai. Yet, between them, during Saturday's loss to the Warriors, they had a combined 19 runs of the football in 175 minutes of game time. That is simply not good enough. Early ball to key attacking weapons is a must, but someone try telling that to the Cowboys. Has Moses done enough to be considered for Origin? One of the biggest calls Michael Maguire has to make ahead of Origin 2 is his halfback. Nico Hines had a well below par game in the opener, but with so many injuries, it's likely a two-way race between him and Mitchell Moses for Game 2. Moses has been injured himself, and while he had a successful return, his performance in a loss against the Bulldogs on Monday could well raise some eyebrows over his suitability to be parachuted into the team. Were Penrith right to re-sign Garner? The Panthers made the big call to re-sign Luke Garner on a 2-year deal last week. There is certainly merit behind the call given the way he has fit in at the foot of the mountains, but it may also raise some questions over the squad balance and the future of youngsters Harrison Hassett and Preston Reiki, given they are also sitting behind Liam Martin, Scott Sorensen, and the recently re-signed Isaiah Papali'i. Plenty of depth for sure, but are there enough minutes to go around? Have the Rabbitohs turned a corner? The South Sydney Rabbitohs may have finally, at long last, started to turn a corner. They've had to with the squad they have available if we are being realistic about it, but heavy wins with more than 40 points scored on either side of the bye against the Eels and Titans leave the club in a better spot moving forward under Ben Hornby than they were under Jason Demetriou. Can they make the finals? Probably not, but they must fight away from the bottom of the table. How do the Dragons replace Zach Lomax next year? Zach Lomax broke the record for most points by a player in a single game over the weekend, racking up a hat-trick and 10 goals against the West Tigers. It was a blitzing performance from the new Origin player who has become one of the competition's most dangerous wingers. Simply put, no player, not one from the Dragons books or the free agency market, can replace what he has brought to the side this season. How much time does Benji get before pressure hits? The Tigers have somehow gone backwards. It feels incredible to say after back-to-back-to-back wooden spoons, but they have. This is now the worst start to a season in club history, with the Tigers losing 9 straight and conceding 44 points in a single half of football against the Dragons on Friday evening. That, frankly, isn't good enough. It's a long-term rebuild, but the pressure can't be far away for Benji Marshall. And those are our hard knocks and burning questions leading into round 15. Are we right? Are we wrong? Are we asking the right questions? Let us know what you think in the comments, hit the subscribe button and catch all the latest NRL news at zerotackle.com, the #1 NRL independent news source.